Hey everyone, this is Karen Waxman, founder of Show Me the Revenue, and I'm so fired up to be talking about this particular topic. We're going to be covering Show Me the Revenue as a professional speaker. So for those of you who have always wanted to speak professionally, so you want to be a public speaker and actually start making real money as a speaker, then you will absolutely love this entire program. Now, this is very dear to my heart because I spent the last 3 years speaking and traveling across the country at some of the world's largest trade shows and so forth. So I learned a lot of this stuff the hard way. I did stuff for free for a long time, and then I started getting paid, and I read a million books on the subject. I bought programs. I mean, you name it. I did a lot related to this particular topic. So I'm excited to help streamline the process for you so that you don't have to go through what I went through. Some of the stuff I've used and done myself. Some of the stuff is stuff that I've gotten out of programs and books, and I'll explain accordingly. But again, my whole goal here is to empower you and inspire you to succeed, show you where the money is right away as a professional speaker so you can actually just get going with actualizing your dreams. So with that said, let's get started. So the way that this whole segment is going to work on being a professional speaker is that I broke it down into small incremental videos. And I did that so that I don't overwhelm you with all the content that I'm going to send your way. So this particular video is going to be fairly short. We're going to be talking about picking money-making topics. So for those of you who are trying to figure out what topic to decide upon when you're going to go out and be a professional speaker, that's what this particular video is going to be all about. And I'll also share how I kind of decided on my topic when I first got started as a speaker and all the stuff that I learned from other professionals and stuff. Anyways, at the end of the day, this is all about making money. So if I can help you pick a topic that's going to make money versus one that's not, I'd be excited to do so. Now, in the other segments, we're going to be talking about all this different information that you see below. And so all of these, again, are going to be in individual videos. This is video number 1. Now, one other thing to note before I get started on picking a money-making topic is that for every topic that I discuss, I include a resource guide. So this resource guide is underneath this video, and essentially what it is an outline of all sorts of information related to programs that I've purchased that I recommend, or books that I've read that I think you should explore, or just additional information that I can send your way to help streamline that process for you. So take a look at the resource guide because it'll really help you out, and it'll just kind of help you hone in on the information that I discuss. So with that said, let's go with video number 1, picking money-making topics. So, okay, so you want to be a speaker and you want to figure out what's a money-making topic for you. So here's how I think this through, and then also what I did. So first of all, take a look at the resource guide because I've actually outlined an entire list of speakers, possible topics that you can kind of explore. So it'll allow you to kind of expand your mind beyond what you currently have today, have thought about in regards to speaking. So obviously I speak on business subjects, but maybe you're really good at psychological improvement, or maybe, relationships, or maybe you have some process that you're really good at explaining in a particular industry. So whatever it is for you, you can take a look at the list in the resource guide and then ultimately start circling the ones that you think are relevant to your potential topic. So again, so take a look at that list. And so when I first got started, I took a look at a list very similar to this. And so I started analyzing, what am I good at, right? So I'm looking at this list, I'm looking at all the different possible things I could be talking about. And then I took a pen and paper and I kind of wrote out the ones, the key words that I thought were relevant to me. Like, so I know a lot about different businesses because I've tried to start a lot of different businesses over the years and been successful in sales. I've done all sorts of different things, but I've also read a million and one self-help books, right? So I can talk about all sorts of topics on relieving stress and all sorts of stuff in your life. And so I kind of listed out all of the different potential topics that I'm good at. Now, one of the people that I thought had the best thing to think about in regards to picking a topic is a woman by the name of Lisa Sasevich. And so she'll actually be in the resource guide as well. But this is a woman who has information products related to how to be a speaker, how to make money as a speaker, right? So how to close more programs at a speaking event, stuff like that. So take a look at the program in the resource guide. But essentially, she has this book, and one of the things she says is, when you're trying to figure out what topic to discuss, think about what is that one thing that you're so good at you can't even help doing. First time around when I did this, I actually wrote out a list of all the different sales things that I was good at and all the self-help stuff. And ultimately I came up with retail because I sold millions of units to the world's largest retailers as a manufacturer's rep for years. I did that in New York as one of my sales topics. And so I realized I ultimately chose that as a topic for being able to speak. And so ultimately that turned into my retail MBA business. So that was how I chose my retail MBA topic. And it was because I was really good at getting products into stores. I was able to explain that well. I explored what was out there and I realized not a lot of people were talking about the subject. And so that's what retail MBA was all about. But after I did all that and retail MBA is great and I was full time with retail MBA, I actually started exploring this concept of speaking even further. And so that's where I utilized Lisa Sasovich's thing where she said, start thinking about what it is that you do that you can't help yourself, right? So I realized that over the years, all I've ever done was give people business advice related to where the revenue is. So somebody would come to me with a business and they'd say that they're having trouble with it. And I could tell them in 5 minutes, maybe not so soon, but pretty quickly, what they need to fix and ultimately where the money is in their particular business. And so, lives were transformed. I did this for all the sales jobs I've ever done, made millions of dollars for people over the years. And so my weird thing is showing people where the revenue is in an industry. And so that's how I started. That's why I'm doing Show Me the Revenue, because that's now more dear to my heart. But ultimately, do you see what I'm talking about? What is that one thing that you do that you can't even help doing? That you can't, it's just something that you do. I can be at any meal talking to somebody and then ultimately it'll come out of my mouth some money related issue related to some sort of business thing that I help solve a problem for. I'm weirdly good at it. And so that's ultimately why Show Me the Revenue came about. But in the past, I chose Retail MBA because I was also really good at that. I was really good at getting products in stores and explaining that. So I hope that sort of makes sense. What are you really good at? And so take a list, write down a list of all the potential things that you're good at, and then kind of hone it in based on what you're really, really good at, what you can explain, what you've been successful at, and then choose the ones that are more unique, because those are the better ones. When I say unique, I'm not talking about it has to be super unique, like getting products into chain stores, but what I'm saying is something where somebody can't easily access the content by doing a quick Google search. You know what I mean? Something where they'd be willing to throw money your way because it's a little bit unique, right? So look at all the things that you're good at and then hone in on the one that you think is a little bit more unique and a little bit better than what's out there today. And one of the things to think about is a way to know that is to actually do research. So the first time around when I was speaking about retail, I started doing a bunch of research and I realized that not a lot of people were talking about exactly how to talk to a chain store buyer and ultimately how to get them to buy. And so I knew that there's something unique there and something interesting there. And so ultimately that's why I picked that first topic. Does that make sense? But ultimately, depending on you just need to make sure that whatever you're doing, people would be willing to pay for. Now, for those of you who are panicked and are saying, well, I'm really good at relationship advice, but there's a million other people out there who are giving relationship advice. How the hell am I going to make money at this thing? Well, here's the other thing to think about. You have your own unique voice, and that's what I learned as a speaker. I realized that, let's use the retail example. There weren't people out there who were already speaking about retail. But for some reason, when I spoke about it, people really liked listening to me and what I had to say because I had my own unique way of explaining things. And people were drawn to me even though other people were talking about my topic. And ultimately, I was actually pretty successful at speaking and stuff. So if I can give you any advice, even if you have a topic that's really, really common, don't throw it out of the way because you're nervous that other people there's too much competition. Because you can ultimately really also have a unique voice and unique way of putting it out there. So don't discount that. When I say unique, I mean it'd be better if they weren't easily able to research it online, but also, if you're going to do it, have your own unique voice and your unique twist on the subject, and that'll also be good. So that's another way to think about. So in regards to picking a topic. Here's the other thing that I learned the hard way. It's actually better if there's a larger audience related to your topic. So once you pick a few, you create a list of all these different topics, you research online, you kind of figure out what you're good at, what you're unique at, and so forth. And then ultimately, once you're kind of honing down that list, start taking a look at where the audience is. So what does that mean? So like in my case, I teach people how to get products into major retailers like Walmart. So I'm looking for product companies who are interested in doing that themselves. And so ultimately, you would think that there's a huge audience related to getting products into stores, right? But once I started actually digging and understanding later on, I realized that not everybody wants to do the work and get products into stores themselves. So I had to figure out where these people were hanging out. And that took me a long time to figure out where those product companies who would be interested in my information are actually hanging out. Does that make sense? So if you are speaking on a topic, either make sure that there's a large audience, but also know where they're hanging out. People who would specifically purchase your topic content. Does that make sense? And so that is a determining factor of a money-making topic, because you want to make sure that when you actually get this thing going, you're actually going to make money here. So that's food for thought there. Here's the other thing. You got to love it or don't even bother doing it. I know everybody says that. It's total business cliche. But man, when you start going out and getting the word out about what you're up to and you actually getting in front of people and speaking on a topic, there's rejection involved and there's people who say things and you got to have a little bit of a belief in yourself in order to be able to do this. It's not so easy to get and speak in front of a large audience, although it's the biggest thrill in the world for me for some reason. But ultimately, I learned that if I didn't love my topic of speaking about retail and then now other things, I wouldn't be able to do this, because you got to believe and back up what you're saying. And people know when you don't really love something and you're not going to make any money at it. One of the things that people told me when I was doing the retail stuff was, I feel your passion, I feel your energy, and so that's why I want to listen to you. Whereas there were other people who were doing it for money, and I was doing it so out of my heart that like it was beyond the money. I mean, even though I was making money at it, I that's how much I loved it. And so don't do it. Don't pick a topic based on money alone. You have to love it. It'll make the biggest difference in the way that you speak and the way people want to hire you. I mean, everything. So hone in on your topics that way. And the last thing to think about in regards to picking money-making topics is that whatever you're choosing to create and related to your topic, make sure that you're giving people a solution to their problem. That sounds really obvious, but in the world, there's a lot of people out there who want to be speakers who just talk to tell their story. They just want to be heard and they want to tell how great and successful they are. That is the most annoying thing in the world to me. Don't go out and speak about something unless you're actually going to give people value. And the only way to do that is to actually give them a solution to their problem. So whatever topic you're looking at, make sure that you have an answer to their problem. And then you explain that in your speech. And that is what people want. This is a huge industry. Speaking is big money, big business if you do it right. And the one thing I've learned from all the gurus who've been doing this successfully and so forth is that they give a solution to people's problems, and that's what people pay for. The reason why speakers are successful is because they can go in and answer all people's questions really quickly and get their answers resolved to their problems, and that's what they want from you. So whatever you look at in regards to topics, make sure that you actually do have a solution to their problem. That'll make the biggest difference in your money-making abilities. Some of this stuff seems pretty obvious. Some of this stuff actually maybe is a different twist than what you've heard. Bottom line is this: in order to pick a money-making topic, you got to ensure that you thought this through in relation to what people want, what's out there, what makes you a little bit more unique, what makes you a little bit better, and then ultimately go for it. Because, I mean, if you're inspired, other people will be inspired. So I hope that sort of helps. So if you have any questions, you can always shoot me an email, Karen@showmetherevenue.com, or you can go to showmetherevenue.com. And you'll also get access to the next training video. And again, I did these in small increments just to ensure that I don't torture you with all the content. I promise you there's some powerful stuff that's coming up related to where the money related to becoming a speaker. So anyways, I hope this helped, and be on the lookout for video number 2. Talk to you soon. Thanks so much.